It's Tuesday the 28th at 9:48 a.m. When I woke up this morning, Motortrend had posted all the images and details, at least that Ioniq and Hyundai had communicated to them. They essentially leaked it. And so this whole video that you're going to see today, which I'm going to post after the embargo ends. I'm not under embargo, by the way, but this whole video that was recorded, other than this intro sequence, is me taking that information and sharing that information that Motortrend already shared and has since taken down. So I hope that makes sense. But let's get into me breaking down the images that I did a few hours ago when Motortrend spilled the beans. So here we are with the first image, and this car looks incredible. I love the rounded, sleek design of it, and it almost gives me vibes of old S-Class Mercedes with this roofline. What do you guys think? The wheels look great as well. I actually like them better than the platter style on the Ioniq 5. We still have the same general design of headlights that we have on the Hyundai Prophecy concept. So here's a closer look at those headlights. And yes, they have the same general design like I just mentioned. But this black bar in the front, it's really hard to tell. It might just be full of sensors for autonomous driving. Yesterday, we got those spy shots, or should I say teaser images of this black bar, thinking that it could be like the new headlight bezel or something like that, or even daytime running light. But obviously, these are the DRLs. These are the nighttime lights. Up above might be the blinkers. Again, this black bar here could just be a styling cue, or it could be housing sensors inside of it. But if we look down below, those also could be where the sensors are hiding too. Now looking at the rear of the Ioniq 6, these vertical lines that I counted yesterday, which are 15 pixels high, might only be there for reflective purposes. Now, maybe when you put it into reverse, these at the bottom light up, but these on the left and right hand side of the tail light bar here, which I love, by the way, big fan of it on the Ioniq 5, and I think it looks even better here. So anyways, not only do we have the taillight LEDs above on the spoiler, we also have them across the trunk lid. And yes, it is a sedan, because even though it has a sloping roofline, it is not a lift back. You can see the crease here. That's where the trunk is, I'm assuming, is going to lift up. We don't see any creases up here for the glass to lift up any higher. But yeah, just reflectors down here, unlike the Prophecy concept where these were actually the vertical tail lights. But from this angle, it looks really, really good. Do you think this is too slopey here at the end with the roof line and the windows? That might be the only questionable design piece for me, is this just kind of, this window line just keeps on going maybe a little bit too long. Not sure if I showed you guys this image yet, but again, looks incredible. I like the Stormtrooper vibe here, the black and white accents, better idea of that front end here. It looks really cool. And of course they have the plane in the background to kind of signalize that this is a very aerodynamic vehicle, and it's not going to fly, unfortunately. It will have the option of dual motors. We'll talk about the powertrains in the spreadsheet in just a second, but this looks real cool. It's not, I don't think, the problems I have with the Ioniq 5 is that I feel like has too many details in places that doesn't need to be. So it's overly styled in a lot of ways, and that's kind of the Achilles heel, in my opinion, for most Hyundai and Kia styling. They just go that extra mile where they don't need to, and it muddies up the design. Kind of looks action figure or transformy, but even the design of like the side skirts looks really, really good to me. I don't feel like anything is over designed here, other than maybe the back here on that C-pillar. Last image of the side profile, and it looks incredible. I don't know what else to say. I love the short overhangs on it. Now, does it look as good as the concept? In some ways, I think it looks better. In some ways, it doesn't look as good. I think the concept looked way more striking from the rear, but with all those LEDs on that weird bumper on the Prophecy, it just looked overstyled. This looks cleaner to me. It looks better to me overall, even than the Prophecy concept. So I'm completely floored by the design here. And that's something I just couldn't wrap my head around the Ioniq 5. I love the unique design to it, but like I said, just overly styled in so many different parts. That is not the case here with this Ioniq 6. This is the home run. This might be one of the best looking EVs on the market. Another look of the rear here, rear quarter, I should say, looking incredible. I might pick this one as my thumbnail because it just looks so good. The interior, big surprise, is full of tech. LEDs everywhere, customizable interior light. This might be the most RGB filled interior I've seen in a while anyways, at least from the factory. So we have two 12-inch screens here. The Ioniq design on the steering wheel even looks to light up. This obviously has a digital rear view mirrors, which I can pull that up, or digital side mirrors, I should say, which we have high resolution images of it. It even says Hyundai here on the front of it. You're going to have blinkers on here, and this looks like just a design piece. Again, we're not going to get these in America. Digital side mirrors are not legal here, unfortunately. Another look at the interior here. Again, there's those two 12-inch screens. Looks like this is very similar to what we have on the Ioniq 5, sort of climate controls. Everything is kind of touch sensitive, but the good thing is that all those buttons are there. You do have dedicated buttons for the climate control, even though they might be touch sensitive. It's kind of hard to tell at this point. The drive control up here is in the same, well, actually it's right here. It's actually in the same spot as it is in the Ioniq 5. You kind of twist it to put it into drive. Here's your regen buttons, or should I say paddle shifters, just like we have in the Ioniq 5 as well. Steering wheel looks very similar, but like I said, it looks like it lights up this time around. Center console here is very minimal. Maybe some buttons like 360 camera could be here, or like your electronic parking brake could be on there as well. But this is no different than what we see essentially on the Ioniq 5 or the EV6 with these dual 12-inch screens. But those LEDs are strong on the dash, strong on the doors. Makes it look really, really cool and futuristic on the interior. That's the Prophecy concept. So they stayed true with, well, not the style of doors, but just the incredible amount of LEDs on the inside. I think we have one last image here to show the contrast that you can work with these LEDs. So you can have different colors to the LEDs on the bottom, and then on the top of the dash and on the doors as well. So man, I can't wait to play with these LED lights. I typically think it's pretty gimmicky in cars just because you can't see them very well. Unlike, like my computer behind me where I can have that rainbow wave going on, which is pretty cool. Don't think you would be able to have a rainbow wave on a car, which I don't want, but hey, have that customization would be a cool thing. Maybe it would be a feature if you're only in park. I don't know. So heading back to Motor Trend, it looks like we have a wheelbase. So we have a wheelbase of 116.1 inches, which is a little bit smaller than the Ioniq 5 at 118 inches, but a little bit bigger than the EV6 at 114 inches. The original plan had been for the Ioniq 6 to share the EV6's wheelbase, but the designers fought hard for the extra inches to improve the car's proportions. Hell yeah. And the wheelbase stretch delivered another important benefit, which is more room for the rear passengers. They say that it's 5 inches shorter than a Honda Accord, but it boasts limousine levels of rear knee and leg room. The designers call this vehicle the Streamliner, but since they went with the Ioniq naming for the brand, they decided to call it the Ioniq 6, but internally it's known as a Streamliner. So I think that would be cool if they had like a unique decal for Streamliner that you can maybe get aftermarket, or should I say like it's a dealer installed. I think that'd be neat. Coefficient of drag is 0.21, which makes it as aerodynamic essentially as a Tesla Model 3. And it looks way better than a Tesla Model 3. What do you guys think? Ioniq 6? Tesla Model 3 for looks alone, of course I'm picking the Ioniq 6. So it's not just me, but Motor Trend thinks that the awkward design details like the cut line and the C-pillar look strange as well. Now on the inside, the variable ambient lighting is standard, hell yeah. They say the light is bounced off the door panel so you don't see the direct light sources, so it helps diffuse the light. And it's not so harsh and blinding, but it makes me wonder with this light bar on the dash, it might be a little bit brighter. Now, those LEDs on the steering wheel, like I mentioned before, they do change color. So they turn white when voice activation is used and green to show that the car is charging. Now, they talk about the digital side mirrors, which I bet the car is rated at 0.21 coefficient of drag with the digital side mirrors instead of the more traditional actual mirrors that we get, which I'm not mad about. I love actual mirrors. When I see a digital center rear view mirror in a vehicle, the depth perception gets thrown off, right? Because it's a 2D image. There are 2 interior trims available, both using a variety of sustainable materials, including fabrics from recycled plastics, recycled fishnet carpets, and leather dyed using flaxseed oil. Hyundai is offering a total of 12 exterior paint colors on the Ioniq 6, including gold and green matte finishes that use bamboo charcoal pigments. And depending on the spec, the Ioniq 6 will be fitted with either 18-inch wheels, which will get you the best range, And those sit on 225 by 55 tires or 20-inch wheels with the 245 by 40 tires. Sources are saying the Ioniq 6 will be cheaper than the Tesla Model 3 when it goes on sale next year. So we're going to head to the spreadsheet here, and we're going to talk about the powertrains that are definitely on lock. We don't know if we're going to have the 58 kilowatt battery or this lesser powerful vehicle, but I think it's safe to say we can start here with the Ioniq 5 and EV6 sort of powertrain. So 225 horse, this is rear wheel drive, mind you, 258 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 around 7 seconds. This will have a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery. And if the range on the Ioniq 5 and EV6 is in the low 300s, we might be able to see something like 320, 325 from this more slippery Ioniq 6 sedan. I'm super excited. Now when we look at pricing, Ioniq 5 starts around 45K. We can assume that the Ioniq 6 will as well. But maybe not. Maybe since it has more interior like attention and ambient lighting, it might cost a little bit more, which I'm okay with. I would happily pay a little bit more money for the Ioniq 6 over the Ioniq 5. But if they're priced at the same, there's no way I'm getting the Ioniq 5. And then of course you have the range topping 320 horsepower dual motor all-wheel drive with 446 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 should be somewhere below 5 seconds, probably 4.5 to 5 is what I would say on average. Your range is going to go down, and most of the time you're going to have this dual motor setup with larger wheels and tires. So if the range is around 260 on the Ioniq 5, it's probably around 275, 280 for the sedan, the Ioniq 6. And starting price will be around 50K for this dual motor. But when you start loading up additional features in it, maybe 360 camera, maybe self-parking features, etc., and even panel roof, that might push you even higher, maybe around 60K before incentives. So it is still an expensive car, but man, this EV6 to me, from the images, from the things we're hearing, looks like one of the best EVs on the market in terms of design and overall performance and range as well. And maybe one day we'll be talking about a 576 horsepower variant, an Ioniq 6N. We've already seen spy shots of an Ioniq 5N being tested out, so it would be a lot easier to have a performance model of the Ioniq 6N since it's a sedan. But I got into it there. Things are melting down outside the office. It's my calling card to shut it off. What do you think about the Ioniq 6? I'll see you below. Hit the like button, subscribe for more Hyundai and Ioniq and Kia news as well. Catch you in the next one. Peace.